Video games is an industry that revolutionized many areas of entertainment, be it television, to sports, to even movies. Before home consoles were popularized, people around the world played video games through arcade cabinets with nothing but a quarter for every gameplay. Yet that alone had made a revenue of $5 to $8 billion by the 1980s. Suffice to say that many people enjoyed playing games in the arcade, whether they're alone, with friends, or with family.
In 1972, one of the first few companies of arcade games, named Atari, was formed by Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney. At this time, they had created the first successful electronic video game, aptly named Pong. Pong is also the first sport video game in the arcade history, and is one of the first few games to reach mainstream popularity.
Pong is a game that essentially simulates ping pong. Players take control of paddles and, like ping pong, tries to get 11 points to win.
Atari wasn't the only company to have released arcade games during this time. There were other companies such as Taito, Midway MFG, Sega, Exidy, and Cinematronics who had also released their own games during this time.
When Space Invaders came out in 1978, arcade games began to appear everywhere. Thanks to its success, the golden age of arcade video games began. Arcade games began popping up in shopping malls, restaurants, grocery stores, even bars and movie theaters in many different countries.
It was so popular that by the 80s, chains such as Chuck E. Cheese's and Showbiz Pizza Place were created to combine traditional restaurants and/or bar environments. Bigger popularity brought about many more games that are still even known today. Examples to this are Galaxian, Donkey Kong, Dragon Slayer, Star Wars, Street Fighters, and Mortal Kombat, and let's not forget about the famous Pac-Man. Galaxian is a game that was created in 1979 by Namco. What's peculiar about it is that it helped popularize graphics in RGB colors. Donkey Kong is actually one of the first platform games in arcade history. This game was the one who introduced the famous plumber known as Mario, but at the time he was simply known as Jumpman. Donkey Kong is also one of the first to have had a fleshed out storyline. And now comes Pac-Man. Pac-Man is actually the most influential game in arcade history. Released in 1980 by Namco, Pac-Man established the maze genre, is the first to introduce power-ups and cutscenes, and was able to open gaming to the female audience. Alone, Pac-Man was able to acquire a revenue of $3.5 billion by 1990. Not bad for video games' first mascot. Unsurprisingly, because of the many games the arcade industry released, many people occupied the arcades. Kids will go to the arcades with all their saved up money after school to play games to the point where some of them would fail some of their classes.
Despite its huge popularity that spanned for many years, arcade video games started declining by the late 90s. During this time, gaming via computer and home consoles started appearing, replacing the revenue of head-to-head competition and social atmosphere once provided solely by arcade. Now instead of having to play with a limited amount of time, everyone can now play with games unlimited amount of times, thanks to home consoles. Because of this, what used to be a $13 billion revenue in 1994 for arcades has significantly dropped to $1.33 billion in 1999 and reached to even as low as $866 million in 2004.
Today, arcade games are actually rare. You can find them at some places, but it's not as much as it used to be. Today's arcades found a niche in games that uses special controllers and accessible to home users. For example, the assault rifles used in Terminator Salvation. Arcade video game industry still exists today, but in a greatly reduced form because many industries focuses more on home consoles to reduce development costs. Arcades are rare today, yes, but it doesn't mean that most of it has disappeared. Actually, many of the arcade classics such as Pac-Man, Galaxian, and even Pong reappears as mobile games through the use of emulators. That way, we can actually play them without having to go to arcades.
Everyone seems to agree on one thing: the arcade is dead. And most people are okay with that. The economies aren't there anymore, the community support never was, and of course, gaming companies make a killing in the home. Almost none are even producing cabinets anymore. Only one person thinks that the creativity and technology will bring arcade back.
And that person is Nolan Bushnell.